At the corner of 8th and Cass Street in downtown Traverse City, you'll find the Old Town Playhouse, and this is the Stage Door. Hello, welcome to Stage Door TC for May 2014. I'm Don Kuehlhorn. The Playhouse season ends this year, the 2013-2014 season, with the final main stage show of Steel Magnolias, and we're backstage on that right now. And then we have the last play over at the studio, which is the entire season then, and that is Leaving Iowa, and that plays in May 31, opens May 31 and plays for two and a half weeks in June. And we take the summer off just like everybody else because we appreciate the summer here in Traverse City. We're going to be talking in this show with Michelle Hopkins, who will talk to us about the Playhouse, which is anything but closed during the summer. She has a lot of camp going on. We have an interview with Betsy Willis, who will share with us the cost of doing a show at the Playhouse. We'll wrap up this show with some business and bid you a fond adieu until the next season, 2014-2015, which begins with auditions in July, but I'll be back in September. And now, let's take a tour of the backstage of Steel Magnolia. Here we are backstage at Steel Magnolias, which opens May 2nd. You can see a tub here that will be filled with water and will drain water so we can wash hair on stage. Yes, there's real water, real washing of hair. Here are the stations for all our performers. There's 6 in number, and there's only 5 stations because I guess somebody doesn't go on with props. These are all properties, hairnets, whatever else the performers may take on stage for themselves. And of course some of the things that are placed on stage by the properties team. And these are all, as we say backstage, if it's not yours, don't touch it. So we're looking, but we won't be touching. Backstage at the Steel Magnolias performing space. We now go to an interview in progress with Michelle Hopkins, the educational director of the Old Town Playhouse. What do we do? What do you do in the course of a year? What kind of programs do you develop and do you work with throughout the year?
Well, for the young company, we do a main stage musical in the fall. And for the past several years, I've been lucky to find someone who's really, really talented to direct and choreograph that. So and that's Minda Nyquist, of course, my role in that production is as a producer. So I make sure that the staff is in place, I make sure that everything is running smoothly, I do all the budgeting and make sure that people don't spend too much or too little, and do all of the administrative aspects of that production. That's a big, big, big show for us. And then in the spring, we do a main stage straight play, which is traditionally based on classical children's literature. For example, this year we're doing Treasure Island, and that's about as classic as you can get. Mm-hmm. And those are the productions that I typically direct with my background in English and in Shakespeare particularly. And then in between, we do 2 studio productions, which are, I guess the criteria we use for choosing those titles mostly centers on its ability to teach the student a period style of acting. So, for example, we might do Little Women. We might do A Little Princess. This past year we did Wiley and the Hairy Man, which was set in the South during the Depression era. All of the titles that we choose are for a smaller cast with, I guess, less stringent production values that are necessary so that we can do them in the studio with a lower budget and really focus on the acting. Okay. And so we do 2 of those a year. And we tour a Shakespeare play and an elementary school play to the schools throughout the year. And then in the summer we do camps and classes, and those camps specifically result in a production.
Now those camps, that's what we can talk about today, because you're enrolling students for camp this summer.
We are.
And what kind of camps are we looking at?
Well, they're a typical camp, except the thing that's unusual about them is that they take place in a theater, not in the woods. Okay. But the kids come every day, Monday through Friday, and we begin at 9:30 in the morning, and we go until 3:30 in the afternoon. They're learning stage combat. They're learning song presentation and cabaret style of singing. They're learning makeup, classical theater makeup, as well as horror and specialty makeup. They're learning playwriting. They're learning Shakespeare. They're learning classical Greek theater. They're learning improvisation. We bring in specialists from New York and other theaters in Michigan, and occasionally we bring in a specialist from Los Angeles, like in circus skills or that sort of thing. And the children in the program take these master classes. They also every day work toward a production that we mount at the end of that 4 weeks. And so they're in rehearsal, they're doing master classes, they're in the shop doing, painting scenery and coming up with the props that we use, or working on the costuming. They are exposed to all the technical elements of theater in addition to the performance aspect. And then at the end of the 4 weeks, we do a fully mounted production of a musical. This year it's Peter Pan. Yay!
Okay.
Which is going to be fun. And also through the course of the 4 weeks, they're on teams that are assigned to them, and so they work to gain points, and they have theme days, and they come dressed as crazy things, and they, their hair might be blue one day, or they come, wearing clothes from the 50s or something, and they come up with their own ideas for their little teams. Little, I don't mean to be diminutive, but they're like smaller numbers of a group of 40.
Right.
So typically about 10 in each group. And they also do improvisational exercises and get points for, winning the little improv Olympiad that we do. And there are many ways to accrue points. It's a fun, spirit exercise to build teamwork, and the group dynamic benefits certainly from that. And then at the very end of camp, after our final performance, we do a pizza party, and everyone does a group cheer or rap or presentation that they create themselves that showcases their group. And then in addition to everything else they've done through the 4 weeks, that's judged. They're assessed points for that, and then the overall winner gets their name on a plaque that hangs outside the office. So that's kind of a big deal. And the students that are in that program tend to come back year after year until they're just too old to participate in the program, because it's so much fun. We also do a summer camp up in Leland. We go up there for 2 weeks and do an off-site camp with the students up there where we mount a musical. And then this will be our second year of working with Glen Lake Schools, providing staffing and support for a summer camp that they do in early June. And then the final thing that we round out our summer with, because we weren't busy enough, we do 2 1-week camps where the students arrive on Monday morning, and that Saturday we do a show. We do 2 shows. We do 1 show twice.
Right.
And so they're here from 9:30 to 3:30 and rehearsing a show, and we're staging it, and it's go, go, go. Like literally from Monday morning until Friday afternoon when they go home, they have mounted an hour-long production. So it's very intense, which is why it's called the 1-week intensive musical theater camp.
To memorize, in 1 week, to memorize
well, that might be
a
a
show.
problem for you, but kids are,
oh, thank you.
kids are pretty good.
Thank you
at
very
it.
much.
Your kids are really porous, and they're sponges, and they don't seem to have a problem with the memorization. What they have a problem with is, reining in their excitement and their energy to really focus on the task at hand. And so the staff is most of what we do with them is teach and rehearse and teach and rehearse and give them the skill set that they need to do an awesome show. And at the end of that time, they're on teams as well, and they compete and they get points and there's a winner, and so that there's that aspect of the camp that's about team building and group exercises and being part of something greater than yourself. So camps are really, really beneficial. And that came I apologize.
No, that part of theater is team building, is a team event. Even though we have stars, quote unquote, leads, main characters and stuff, it is all about the whole team and how they all have to work together to make the production one whole audience enjoyable situation.
Even a one-person show, it
Still
involves
plenty
a
of
lot of people that are
Yeah.
working on that. I've been involved in those kinds of shows where I was the only actor, but oh my gosh, you know, the tech staff and the backstage support was huge for that. And I've been in shows that involve, you know, 2 or 3 people, and it's kind of, it's an interesting dynamic when you're working with a small cast, because you feel a lot more responsibility for making sure everything goes smoothly. But being in a very, very large show, like 40 or 50 or 60 people, is also a really fun dynamic, because the pressure's off a little bit, but yet you're a much smaller part of a larger whole, but the larger whole is so much greater. It's like a big deal to be part of one of those ginormous casts. And so you're creating this epic event, and you're part of that. Which is very different from being in a small cast show where, you know, there's you know, 3 or 4 of you, and you all get really close, and you know, you work really well together, and it's like a small little family. It's a very different experience. It's all theater, but you know, the group dynamic and the team building and the cooperative nature of theater is certainly true whether you're talking about a little group or the ginormous group.
Now, how can we get in touch with you, or some way to sign up for one of these classes?
You have to know the secret password.
Secret password?
Yes, and you can only say it in a full moon, when the moonlight shines on the porthole.
Okay.
And then you say the magic, and then you can reach me.
Okay.
Or you can just call the theater at 947-2210. I'm at extension 103.
103?
Yep.
You
And
got an email address?
I do. It's Michelle with a Y, Mychelle. My mother did that, sorry. Michelle at oldtownplayhouse.com. And you can also reach me by getting on our website, which is otpyoungcompany.com.
That's different from OTP, or oldtownplayhouse.com.
Right. Well, it's
there's a
different,
link,
but they're linked.
We want OTP Young Company.
Well, but if you go to the Old Town Playhouse website, which is oldtownplayhouse.com, you can certainly click on the link for Young Company, and it'll bring you up to our website. And then that way you get to see what's going on with the OTP programming as well.
Okay. Well, Michelle Hopkins, thanks much for your time, and good luck in your summer program. Sounds busy.
It is going to be busy, but I do love it.
Development director. I was just about to say developmental director. That would have put a different flavor into it, which I'm not sure is what we wanted to have.
Yes, because I don't think I want to deal with anything developmental here at the playhouse.
That's right. We all have our problems already.
That's right. A lot of people think this is therapy, not theater.
Right. And in some cases, let us not go there. Let's get back
let's
to
go a
where we're
different
going.
direction.
What does the development director do at the Playhouse?
The development director raises funds and visibility for the Playhouse. It's my job to raise the money that we don't make on ticket sales to support the budget of the Playhouse, and also to make sure that we're highly visible in the community and that people know who we are.
Okay. Okay, so you make up the difference between ticket sales and the operation of the Playhouse. Ordinarily, one would think that you that the Playhouse makes their money by selling tickets. And that's not so?
That is not so. In order for us to raise the money necessary to make the budget of the Playhouse, we would have to charge an average ticket price of about $55 a person.
Wow.
For all shows and no children and everything. That's how much it would be. So we raise about 60% of our budget from ticket sales and 40% of our budget from unearned income through grants, individual donations, corporate sponsorship, advertising, all of those things that all other businesses do.
And just so we get a kind of a guideline, how much does a show cost? Is there an average show cost?
I was just looking at a budget today, and the musical The Sound of Music had a cost of $26,500.
Wow.
And Les Miserables was almost twice that much.
Holy moly! That's pretty many money for a musical.
It is, and not very much of that goes to paying people. Most of that goes to paying royalties, set construction, advertising, costumes. Very little of that, when we have to pay musicians, will go to a musician. But all of our actors and everybody who works behind the scenes, all volunteers.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. We were a volunteer organization. I know we have, 4 paid staff?
We have 5 full-time paid staff and
Okay.
1 part-time paid staff.
Okay. And this is just to keep the daily business of the Playhouse up and running.
That's correct. We have a budget of about $650,000, and that's a big business. And we have to keep it rolling all the time. So we have an executive director who manages the day-to-day operations. We have a business manager that helps him, and I should say also our executive director makes the decisions about what we're going to do year to year, day to day. And then we have an education director who manages our young company. We have me. We have someone who keeps the building in shape. And then we have a box office person who works part-time.
Okay. And so these are all the necessary paid positions, and everything else we see in the Playhouse during the course of a play, of a season, is done by the volunteers. That's the actors, directing, musicians,
all the backstage,
all the
the ushers,
backstage.
the house managers, everybody.
Right. So
400 of them.
That's still a pretty 400 volunteers.
400 active volunteers.
Wow, that's pretty much enough. So what do you, in terms of trying to get other money? You say grants. Where do you go for grants?
We write grants. A grant every year we write to the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, who helps all sorts of arts and cultural organizations throughout the state of Michigan. And some of their funding comes from the National Endowment for the Arts. So we get money from them every year for operations. We also have a very generous grant from the Worthington Family Foundation, who helps with our young company, things that are going on. We are currently applying to the Fry Foundation out of Grand Rapids for some money for the renovations we're doing. We also have several local family foundations, Biederman, Olson, Schmuckel, all who from time to time give us funds. The Magoon Family Foundation is a regular donor for us. So all of those places are where we seek funding. When possible, we try to find other large granting organizations for the arts. Currently, most of them have a development in the southeastern corner of the state, so we don't get very many of that funding, but we try.
Yeah, go where we can. Now, private funders as well? I mean,
Lots of individual
like
donors. Yeah, we have lots of people who are very generous with us, give from $3 or $4 with a ticket purchase to $10,000, $15,000, which is greatly appreciated and well needed.
I imagine.
And then we have everybody in between, who many of our volunteers also pay a membership fee or a donation to make sure that we keep going. And we have lots of our audience members and subscribers who, in addition to buying their tickets, will give us funding as well.
Okay. And we have this ongoing building renovation project. What is that about?
We do. We have a 100-plus-year-old building that is still strong on the outside, but needs a little refurbishment on the inside and some change to the entranceways. Anyone who's visited our building in the last year has seen brand new entryways, which are much safer and much more user-friendly. And for the next 2 years, we'll be doing continuing maintenance. We will be completely remodeling the lower level Schmuckel Theater and into more of a lobby space with a concession area and a small kitchen and a bar, which will be a nice
Hooray.
addition. Hooray! Yes, that will be many people like, if you just serve drinks. So we will. So there you are. And then we are also looking at putting all new seats in the auditorium in the 3rd year. So in 2015, 2016, you will be sitting in brand new seats in a completely refurbished main stage auditorium.
So you are looking for, again, some major funding for that kind of environment.
We are looking, this is about a $500,000 project. We looked at building a new building at our current location and doubling the size. And that looks like it still might happen, but it will be 8 to 10 years out. And so we are trying to refurbish our building and give it life for the next 10 years to make sure that our audience is still comfortable and that the building will stand the test of time.
Now, you're development director here. Do you have any hobbies?
No.
By way of segue?
Let's talk about Dawn.
Well, we know that you have directed plays here. Man of La Mancha was one that you directed.
Yes.
And currently,
I am in Steel Magnolias. I am playing the part of Clary, who is the Olympia Dukakis role for those people who have seen the movie. It's very fun. It's set in the South, so we're all practicing our Southern accents and trying not to let it carry over into our day-to-day life without much success in my case. But yes, I directed Man of La Mancha, and I'm hoping to direct again next year, and that would be fun. And I've also done Miriam's Pardon, an original play here was the first thing I did, and I've also played Ethel in On Golden Pond. So theater, I am a theater junkie. Theater junkie.
you keep up with theater both in your private and your public life.
I do. It's kind of nice to have a passion for what you're doing, especially when you're asking people to give you large sums of money.
Well, and indeed it is. So if anybody has large sums of money or small sums of money,
any sum of money will do.
How can they get in touch with you or with the Playhouse to donate or even to volunteer?
That would be great. We'd love to have you. We have a role for everyone, as we like to say. You can email me at Betsy, BETSY, at oldtownplayhouse.com. You can call me at 947-2210, extension 102. Either one of those ways will get you in touch. You can visit our website to see what the donor categories are. If you have something special you'd like to have, like early announcement of tickets, or maybe you'd like to bring 20 of your friends to a private party here, that's available through membership here.
So we do have that, that's right, we have the group ticket kind of thing, where we can have some private parties before the show, host it, and then go see a show.
We do that, and sometimes people like to stay after the show and meet with the cast and crew, and we'll do a little afterglow up on the stage. So.
Ooh, on the stage.
Yeah, when we can. I like to have it up on the stage. People, that's their chance to be on stage without having to worry about an audience.
And your show, Steel Magnolias, goes up?
May the 2nd, runs through the 17th.
May the 2nd, Friday, opening night, 7:30 curtain.
7:30 curtain, 6:30 pre-show reception right down here in the theater.
Well, Betsy Willis, thanks very much for for the conversation, and break a leg in your opening.
Thank you.
Theater tech world, we have a light behind me which is causing this huge shadow at me right now. It's our bridge, which we carry 11 8-inch instruments that give us a wash on the whole stage, and we have to color it. We've colored it, but I have 2 instruments that are now focused in the wrong place. They're pointing in the wrong place on stage, and I want to bring the bridge in, and then I want to adjust the focus and send it back out. We do this all the time. We have 2 1,000-pound winches in the ceiling that hold this thing up, and what I do is say, bridge coming in, and then I bring the bridge in by hitting 2 little controller buttons here, if you can see them now. And as you can see, the bridge is in, and I'll adjust the instruments and then take the bridge out. Thank goodness I'm tall, otherwise we'd really have to bring it lower. Now with the bridge out, or in, I was able to do adjustments on the two instruments that I think are focused wrong. I'm going to take the bridge out and then I light it up to see if I did the job right or not. Bridge going out! If the instruments are just slightly off, one time is enough. But typically, when they're way off or we're doing a new show and we readjust every one of those instruments, it takes 3 times before we got it right. And that's a little tech tip about the bridge. Now for the standard business that we have at the end of every show, good on paper, the Old Town Playhouse Improv Group continues its comedy run through May, and the plays May 10 and 24, and this will be their last appearances for this year, for the season. They will return in September, and tickets are $5 as always, free coffee and sticky buns. Doors open at 10:30 and the show begins at 11 o'clock sharp. Seats go fast, just saying. Now, Age to Perfection. Our senior group, have to be 55 or older to join it. They have sent me an email about what is going to happen during the summer, and here it is. Dear Don, we continue in the summer meeting every other Saturday at OTP, 10 to 12 in the Mary Schmuckle Theater. We are performing with a touring group from Ohio on June 26th at the Depot in the evening. Our first Friday page to stage meetings continue. The next one is May 2nd at 11 a.m. here at the Playhouse with Diane Clark teaching Vowels, the actor's best friend. Please feel free to commentate. Well, that's for me. You can come and watch it. In June, Mike Nunn will be presenting storytelling. We are trying to arrange an August date for a performance at the Depot. And they're going to do a Halloween performance at the Music House Museum on October 29th and 30th. You're all invited to join to either watch or participate. We have come to the end of another Stage Door TC, this one for May 2014. It is also the end of our season 2013-2014 at the Old Town Playhouse and for Stage Door TC. If you need further information about the Young Company and its offerings for this summer, go to otp@youngcompany.com. And there you'll find all the current information. If you need current information about the Old Town Playhouse in general, TC Film Festival this evening, or this year, what's coming next year, you'll find it at oldtownplayhouse.com. If you have suggestions, concerns, observations about Stage Door TC, feel free to drop an email to stagedoortc@gmail.com. The music for this show has been presented by the Open Source Music Creative Commons and by Picasa Music. And now, this show has been produced by your local producer, Don Kuehlhorn, for Up North TV. I'm Don Kuehlhorn. Have yourself a great summer.